Hi everyone. So we start today with looking at our very first section in sample hypothesis testing. So hypothesis testing is a process that we're going to use all of the stuff that we've been talking about, all our statistics, our confidence level, our estimating what mu might be, to test a claim about a value, a population parameter. Now that population parameter, okay, could be mean. It could be population proportion, it could be variance, it could be standard deviation. So any of the parameters that we've been using. Okay? All right, so we're going to start today. Let me put in the population parameters here, guys. Okay, so this could be mu, this could be p, this could be variance, it could be standard deviation. Okay, so we're going to start with just today looking at what is our hypothesis. So if you think along the lines of scientific method, like you have to start with what are you trying to do? Okay, what is your hypothesis? So we have our statistical hypothesis. So it's our statement about the population parameter. Now you can state it in words or symbols. All right, we're going to talk a little bit about both, but mainly we're going to focus on symbols. If you decide and you're an underclassman, you want to take AP stats, you do more in words. Okay, so the statistical hypothesis is the statement about your population parameter. And you always have a pair of hypotheses. Okay? One that represents the claim, and the other is its complement. So if the claim says equal, the complement is not equal. Okay, so it's like, think number line. All right, so we're talking about if one's less than, the other's greater than. If one's greater than, the other's less than. Okay, think of it along that lines. So you have your first one, which is called the null hypothesis, usually called H sub O, H naught, H sub 0. A lot of kids in my classes refer to it as HO. Okay, I can tell you a story that one of my students who had this class went on to college, took a stats class in college. He referred to it as ho and ha. He got yelled at by the professors. We don't call them hoes. We call them H sub 0s. So I'm just giving you a heads up. All right, so the null hypothesis, or H sub O, is the statistical hypothesis that always states the claim of equality. So in your null hypothesis, you're always going to either have an equal to, a greater than or equal to, or a less than or equal to. All right? Ho, H sub O's are always equal. All right? That's the way we have it set up. Your alternative hypothesis, or H sub A's, is the complement of H sub O. Okay? So it's the statement that must be true if H sub O is false, and it contains a statement of strictly inequalities. So H sub A's are not equal to, less thans, and greater thans. All right? Now, either one could be the claim depending on the wording of the problem, and you'll see that in a few minutes. All right? Now, what we want to be able to do is translate from the wording into our H sub O and our H sub A's, our ho's and our ha's. Okay, so if we have a verbal statement, okay, you're going to see, how do I know it's an H sub O? Well, it might say greater than or equal to. Sorry, my radio's on. Okay. It might say at least. It might say not less than. Okay. Then your H sub O. Okay, now I'm going to use mu, but you can use any of your population parameters. Would be greater than or equal to some value. Let's just call that value K, just for having a letter there. Okay, now, okay, suppose you're given something like this, though. Less than. It might be fewer than. It could say below. Okay. Anything that would indicate a less than value then your H sub A, your ha, would be mu is less than k. Again, k is just our arbitrary letter. Notice that these guys are complements of each other. Now, again, either one would be the claim depending on the wording of the problem. Now, another one you might see would be maybe less than or equal to. You might say at most. You might see not more than, no more than. Okay, these are all less than or equal to concepts, so therefore H sub O would be less than or equal to. Okay. Now, you might see greater than. You might see more than. You might see above. And there are more. Okay, these are just the ones I'm picking out. That means your H sub A would be greater than. Again, H sub A's are never equals. All right. So if it contains an equal, it means it's going in H sub O. All right, so you might also find equal to. You might say exactly. You might see the same as. Since these are all equal to concepts, we would go mu is equal to k. Now, if you say not equal to, different from, not, like not this value. Okay, these are all not equal to ideas, so they go in H sub A. Okay, so these guys are always complements of each other. So if you look, if I say greater than or equal to, that goes in H sub O, therefore H sub A is less than. If I say less than or equal to, then H sub O is H sub A is greater than. If I say I want to be greater than 5, then that's an H sub A idea, then H sub O is less than or equal to. Okay? If I say I don't want to be equal to 7 or differs from, that's another one you might say. See, differs from 6, then those are not equal to concepts. Those would be H sub A, and then equal to's goes in H sub O. Okay? All right, so let's try and pick out a couple in these problems. So we're going to state the null and alternative hypothesis and represent which one's the claim. We're not going to write the sentence. I'll show you one of those. Just because I find that they get a little cumbersome and we really don't need to be writing the sentences. I'm good with just H sub O, H sub A. Okay? All right. So a school publicizes that the proportion of its students who are involved in at least one extracurricular activity is 61%. So keywords here is at least one, at least. Not one, just at least. Okay, so the question is at least oh wait, I'm sorry, that's wrong. I'm looking at it the way wrong. The word is what we're interested in. At least one is just the problem. Is what we're looking at. I apologize, guys. I was looking at the wrong thing. All right, so if it is 61%, that's an equal to concept. So H sub O is going to get the equal to. Again, change your percents to decimal. I'm using P because we're talking about population proportion. Then H sub A would be the not equal to. And since the equal to was in the problem, and that's what we're trying to talk about, that's the claim. So I'm just going to write in parentheses that's the claim. Okay? All right, let's see if we can get this one. A car dealership announces that the mean time for oil change is less than 15 minutes. All right, so less than 15 minutes. Okay, so less than, that's not an equal to idea. It's just less than. So that's H sub A. And we're talking mean, so we're going to use mu. Which means H sub O would be the greater than or equal to, because that's the complement. Now, the claim was the less than, so that's H sub A. It is really, really important to identify the claim, because that's going to tell you things later on. So we're taking this step by step, talking about all the different parts of our hypothesis testing. There are sometimes between 7 and 10 different parts, depending on how you break it up. Okay, so we're starting at just step 1. So every day this week, we're going to do one step. All right, so we put it all together on Friday. All right, let's try number 3. A company advertised that the mean life of its furnace is more than, is more than 18 years. Now, the question is more than an equal to concept? No, that's just a greater than concept. So H sub A, and again, we're talking mean, so I'm going to use more, greater than 18. H sub O is going to be less than or equal to, because that's the complement, and that means that H sub A is the claim. Okay, so I have 3 more for you guys to try. So why don't you pause the video and try doing identify H sub O and H sub A. Make sure equal to's go with H sub O, and the other ones, the complements go in H sub A, like the not equal to's go in H sub A. And make sure you identify the claim. All right, so pause the video. All right, let's see how you did. So the first one, mean life of a certain type of battery is 74. Is an equal to, so that means it goes in H sub O, and he's also the claim, so H sub A is not equal to. Okay, and we have manufacturer of the variance of the life of a certain type of television is less than or equal to 3.5. So less than or equal to, it's containing an equal to, so that means it's H sub O. All right, so we're going to put that in H sub O. And we're using omega squared because that's variance. And then our greater than is going to go in H sub A because that's the complement. And we got the claim. All right, and then we have a radio station claims that a proportion of its students is greater than, okay, it's not equal to, but is greater than 39%. So I'm going to use P because we're talking about population proportion. Greater than is not including an equal to, so it's going to go in H sub A. So we have P is greater than 0.39. So H sub O is less than or equal to, that's the complement. And H sub A is the claim because that's what we're talking about in the problem. All right, so when we meet again, we'll talk more about this, go through some more problems. But the idea is that H sub O is always equal. H sub A does not contain any equals. Either one could be your claim of what you're trying to prove. And again, this is just step 1 of 6 or 7 steps that we're going to do in the problem. All right, if you have any questions, please let me know. Please stay safe out there, guys, and I will talk to you again real soon.